Baby Desmond arrives and Stella is already plotting. There is something about a new baby that brings out the very best in people. And also, occasionally, the very most interfering. And when it comes to Stella, those two things have always lived right next to each other in the same generous, maddening, completely well-intentioned heart. Baby Desmond is here. He is beautiful and he is healthy, and the family is over the moon. Curtis is a father again. Portia has brought this child into the world. And Stella, devoted, fierce, loving Stella, is right there in the middle of it all, because when has she ever been anywhere else when her family needed her? But here's the thing about Stella. She loves deeply, and she acts on that love without always waiting to be asked. The lecture she delivered to both Curtis and Portia about getting along for this baby's sake was given with the best of intentions. Nobody doubts that. What everybody doubts is whether she's going to stop there. Because Stella has a history, a rich, specific, documented history of deciding that she knows what is best for the people she loves and then taking action accordingly, whether those people asked for her opinion or not. She once went so far as to intercept legal documents between Curtis and Jordan to keep that relationship from dissolving. She made a unilateral decision about someone else's marriage because she believed she was right. And she was so convinced of her rightness that she did not hesitate for a moment. Now there is a baby in the picture. And in Stella's world, a baby changes the entire calculation. Stella is old-fashioned in the truest sense. She believes that a child deserves to be raised by two parents who are committed to each other and to that family. She accepted Portia's relationship with Isaiah, grudgingly, with that particular brand of Stella acceptance that comes with a raised eyebrow and a lot of unspoken reservations. But accepting something and being at peace with it are two very different things. And now that Desmond is here, now that there is a real child at the center of the situation, Stella's internal calculations are shifting. She is thinking about Curtis. She is thinking about what it means for him to be a father to this baby while not being with Desmond's mother. She is thinking about Trina, who grew up without Curtis because of a secret Portia kept for years, and whether history is about to repeat itself in a different shape. She is building a case in her mind, the kind of case that always ends with Stella deciding to do something about it. And then there is what she did not see. Curtis, standing outside that window, watching Portia and Isaiah with little Desmond. That expression on his face was not the peaceful acceptance of a man who has truly moved on. It was complicated and dark and full of something he has not finished processing. Stella did not catch that moment. But if she does, if she sees Curtis struggling with the sight of another man holding his son, she's going to use that as justification for every move she was already planning to make. Curtis has his own version of events about Isaiah, and it is a version that is driving Ray all anger. He believes Isaiah is responsible for something terrible, a conviction strong enough that he went after the man physically and may have done lasting damage to Isaiah's hand and possibly his surgical career. The problem is that Curtis appears to be wrong about what actually happened. He has built his outrage on a foundation that may not hold up. But Stella does not know that. And if she takes Curtis's word for it, she is going to be marching into this situation armed with bad information and the absolute certainty that she is fighting on the side of right. Now here's the question that fans cannot stop talking about, and it is a big one. Is Desmond actually Curtis's son? Some viewers have been watching very carefully and noticing things. The baby cried when Curtis held him. The baby was perfectly calm in Isaiah's arms. Now, babies cry for all sorts of reasons, and reading paternity into an infant's comfort level is not exactly science. But this is a soap opera. And on a soap opera, details like that are never included accidentally. The writers put that moment on screen for a reason. If Desmond turns out to be Isaiah's biological child rather than Curtis's, the entire landscape of this story transforms completely. Everything Stella is about to meddle in. Every assumption Curtis is operating under. Every tension between these two men over this woman and this baby. It all becomes something else entirely. And the revelation, when it comes, is going to shake this family in ways that will take a very long time to settle. For now, Desmond is here. He is loved. And Port Charles should probably brace itself for whatever Stella is planning, because that woman has never in her life let love stop at a lecture. Monday erupts. Willow begs, Gio dives, and Nina unravels. Now, let us talk about Monday, because this episode is being described as one of those hours where Port Charles goes from simmering to fully ablaze before you have even had time to settle into your chair. Every storyline burning right now converges in the span of one episode, and the results are going to leave you breathless. Let's start with Willow and Chase because this scene is the kind of thing that stays with you long after the episode ends. Chase arrives at Willow's office with a clear and straightforward purpose. He is there to bring her in for questioning related to the Sidwell case. He is doing his job. He is doing the right thing. He has spent months rebuilding his reputation from the ground up after choices he made in the past that cost him enormously, and Anna has just opened a door back to real detective work for him. He is not there to cause Willow pain. He is there because it is the correct thing to do. And then Willow starts to cry. Not performatively. Not as a calculated manipulation. She cries because she is genuinely terrified, because she knows that Brennan has an escape route waiting for her and her children, and she cannot afford to walk into a police station right now. Every second matters. Every minute she spends in that building is a minute she is not getting herself and her kids onto a plane and out of Port Charles forever. So she asks Chase for one thing. Just one small thing. She asks him to tell them he could not find her. That is all. One lie. One cover that costs Chase everything he has been working to rebuild and puts him right back in the position that nearly destroyed his career the last time he bent the rules for someone he cared about. And Chase has to stand there in that moment and decide who he is going to be. The weight of that scene is enormous because both of these people are sympathetic in their own way. Willow is a mother trying to protect her children from the consequences of genuinely terrible choices she made out of fear and desperation. Chase is a good man trying to hold onto a version of himself he fought hard to reclaim. There is no version of this moment where someone does not get hurt. The only question is who and how much. Whether Chase walks Willow into that station or lets her walk out that door is a decision that will reshape both of their stories in ways that extend far beyond this single episode. Meanwhile, back at the Quartermain estate, the aftermath of Nina's terrible decision at the lakeside is arriving faster than she anticipated. Drew hit that water, and the moment he did, something cracked open in Nina that she was not prepared for. Because whatever she told herself in that split second, whatever panicked reasoning made pushing that wheelchair feel like the only option, the reality of watching him go under is a completely different experience. She screams his name. Not quietly. Not in the controlled, composed way Nina usually operates. She screams with the full terror of someone who has just realized that she has gone further than she ever planned to go, and there is no taking it back. And, by what can only be described as the universe deciding to give the story its most dramatic possible turn, Brooklyn happens to suggest to Gio right around this moment that he should take another swim at the lake. She has absolutely no idea what is waiting there. She is not sending him into danger. She is just making a casual suggestion that happens to send Gio walking directly toward the most important moment of a summer. Gio finds Nina in full meltdown mode at the water's edge. He does not need much explanation. Drew is in the lake. There is no time for questions or hesitation. Gio goes in. He pulls Drew out alive. Heroism does not always look like what we expect it to. Sometimes it is a young musician who happened to be in the right place at the right time, who did not stop to calculate whether the man in the water deserved to be saved, who just acted because that is who he is. Gio is that person. And what he does at that lake is going to define him in Port Charles for a long time to come. Willow gets the phone call about what happened at the lake almost immediately. That news hits her like a second crisis layered on top of the first one, because everything she and Nina had been doing to keep Drew silent just became enormously more complicated. If Drew is not motivated to talk before, being pushed into a lake by Nina has given him all the motivation in the world. Willow's plans, already under pressure from Chase's arrival at her office, are accelerating in every direction at once. Nina goes straight to Brennan. She needs damage control, and she needs it immediately. Whatever Brennan can do, whatever leverage he can deploy, whatever protection he can offer, she needs all of it right now. Elsewhere, Valentine is making his move with Brennan, offering up the black box in exchange for getting his frozen assets released. If that deal goes through, Brennan suddenly holds the one thing that might actually be able to silence Drew, the evidence of Drew's own past indiscretions. The leverage that could make Drew choose silence over justice. The same deal that could protect both Nina and Willow from the full consequences of what they have done. Molly is having her own bright moment in all of this, lighting up as she talks to Dante about the possibility of finally bringing Sidwell into a courtroom and making something stick. And Ava, ever perceptive, has backed Ethan into a corner and is pressing him for the truth about what he actually wants. Ethan has been restless and evasive, and Ava is not a woman who lets restlessness go unexplained for long. Monday is not a slow burn. Monday is a match dropped into everything that has been soaking in gasoline for weeks. Story 3. Britt smiles, then swings, and Jason's cold shoulder changes everything. And finally, the moment that fans have been waiting for since Jason came back, and the reason it is going to break a lot of hearts before it begins to heal them. Britt saw Jason walk through those hospital doors, and the smile on her face said absolutely everything. It was not a complicated smile. It was not guarded or measured or tempered by uncertainty. It was pure, unfiltered joy at seeing someone she has missed in a way that goes all the way down to the bone. She has been carrying that missing for months, holding on to the hope that when he came back, everything would fall back into place. That smile is not going to survive this episode. Something Jason says, something about his intentions, about what he wants, about where he sees himself and his life going from here, lands on Britt in a way she was completely unprepared for. And Britt, who has never been a woman to absorb a blow passively and simply nod and accept it, responds in the most immediate and physical way possible. She slaps him. The reunion fans were imagining, the warmth, the relief, the picking up of threads that were left hanging, is officially not happening. Not like this. Not today. And here's the thing that makes this so much more than just a dramatic scene. Jason is not being cold to Britt because he does not care about her. He is being honest with her. What he went through in that facility changed him in ways that Port Charles has not fully seen yet. The man who left was someone who could hold multiple things at once: his dangerous world, his relationships, his identity. The man who came back is still figuring out which of those things he has left, and which ones he has had to let go of. He is not the same. And Britt deserves to know that, even if the knowing of it hurts more than the not knowing did. What Jason went through was not just physically brutal. There are deep implications about the nature of the trauma he endured, the kind that does not just affect the body but reaches into how a person understands themselves, their worth, their capacity for intimacy and closeness. A man carrying that kind of weight does not simply walk back into a romance and pick up where he left off. He has to find his footing first. He has to figure out who he is now. And until he does, anything romantic feels not just premature, but genuinely impossible. For Britt, none of that explanation softens the blow in the moment. She is hurt. She is angry. She raised her hand and used it because that is what Britt does when something hits her hard enough. She hits back. The slap is grief, wearing the costume of fury. But this is not necessarily the end of anything. It may simply be the most honest beginning this relationship has ever had. Because Jason coming back changed and telling Britt the truth rather than pretending to be who she needs him to be, that is actually more respectful than the alternative. And Britt, underneath the anger, may eventually recognize that. There are whispers that Tristan could end up being the person who fills some of the space in Britt's story going forward. And there are quiet hints about something slow and unexpected developing between Jason and Serena as she spends more time at the Quartermain estate. Neither of those things will happen quickly. Neither of them should. But both of them are pointing toward a Port Charles where people find connection in the places they were least looking for it, and that is always the richest kind of storytelling. For now, Britt is standing in that hospital corridor with a stinging hand and a broken expectation. And Jason is walking away carrying the weight of a truth he had to tell even though it cost him something too. Port Charles has never been comfortable. But right now it is alive in a way that reminds you why you never stopped watching.